Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. To follow us on Instagram, go to No Name Music Cast Podcast. To send us an email, it's nonamemusiccast@gmail.com. And to visit our website, go to nonamemusiccast.com. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And Joy and I have been having a little chat before hitting record and play this evening.
With me before this episode.
As we often do. Like I said, I think we should have a subscribers only No Name Music Cast after dark or something. I don't know.
If you guys didn't know, Tim plays the guitar sometimes on the weekends or something. I've heard that.
Once in a while. I'm not naming any names, but I was expressing some frustrations, but Joy helped me through that process.
The funny part is that Tim says that so, lamppost, no, I'm just a guitarist. But if you've ever known anyone who's ever known Tim, they put Tim at the top of the guitar. That's what I was yelling at him about before Tim is he's not a guitarist, guys. He's the guitarist, whether he wants to admit it or not. And what's weird about Tim is he doesn't ever claim to be this person. You're so humble about it. And I was like, Tim, you have to know this. He was like, no, maybe.
Well, thank you,
that's
Joy.
what started this.
I always appreciate your support.
Also, go look him on the YouTubes. He does have a YouTube page where you can see him. And I think he knows how to do at least a C, a G, a D, and an E, right, Tim?
I can play an F bar chord and have been able to do that for some time.
When do you think that you started that? What was the age?
I started playing guitar when I was 13. I was probably gig ready by the time I was about 15.
When did you have to do an F bar chord, though? If you were going to, think about this logistically. When do you think that came out of you?
Probably in the first year or so. It's tricky once to do it, but once you get used to it, you learn how to do it. And it makes sense.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. He thinks that's tricky, and everybody else can just do it. Nobody ever told Tim how good he is because we're all screwed if you do. All right, what's next, Tim?
Well, thank you, Joy. As I said, I appreciate your support. But let's get into the podcast.
This might have been the whole thing we were going for before this podcast. What's next?
Okay, so this is a little bit of music news from me at the top of the show. Apparently, Zakk Wylde confirmed that he and Ozzy Osbourne were planning a new album before we lost Ozzy. Now, Zakk has played on a number of Ozzy's releases, probably the most famous being the No More Tears album, which is the song No More Tears and Mama, I'm Coming Home and all that kind of stuff. And apparently him and Ozzy had been in contact prior to that Back to the Beginning concert, saying that, do you know what, I think we should do an album. And then they did the concert and they exchanged a few texts going, I really enjoyed that sound you had in the No More Tears era. Let's make another album. And then, of course, it never happened because we lost Ozzy Osbourne. It's very sad indeed.
I mean, at least they're just coming out with something. I mean, he was at the point now, when was the last time Ozzy really did a lot? Besides before when he did his final, concert. But overall, I'm just happy to hear that people are I was engaged with him until the end. He was doing what he loved, right, Tim? For whatever it is. That's what I'm hoping that's what came out of this.
Yeah, I mean, he had an album in 2022 called Patient Number 9, and that featured Zakk Wylde. He also finished a book, he finished a documentary and a couple of other projects before we lost Ozzy Osbourne. But I think just how amazing it would have been another album in the kind of mold of No More Tears featuring Zakk Wylde. Now, there are very few quote-unquote modern guitar players that I really like. I really love John Five, but I also especially love Zakk Wylde. He has a very unique tone, the way that he plays guitar, and also Nuno Betancourt too. But Zakk, in that kind of hard rock heavy metal style with his pick squeals, he is such a good guitar player. I mean, he's not a guitar player for all seasons, though I'm sure if you put him in a jazz band or you put him in a blues band or put him in
He'd figure it out.
He would figure it out because he's a great guitarist. But I mean, certainly in the realm of rock and metal, I really enjoy what he did.
I love that because I've seen him before. He's the one that like I've seen him with his very long hair and there's different things I've seen him play before, and I feel like he's what Ozzy would have liked. But in all seriousness, though, I do like the fact that it sounds like in some way Ozzy was actively working on and producing music till he died because I feel like that's what he would have wanted to do.
Absolutely,
That makes me
100%.
happy.
There we are.
I know that's a very small thing, and everybody talks about this. Like me and Timmy even talk about on the podcast. One thing that annoys us is when people like buy someone's. It could be a guitar, it could be a drum set, or whatever. But it's like legitimately. That's a word. Logistically, what I struggle with is like I feel like with people who are musicians or like literally their guitar they play with or whatever physical instrument it is. I really like these situations where people play them out till they pass away. And maybe that sounds dumb. You don't always have to do that. But I really like that because I feel like a lot of good musicians, and Ozzy's a great example, would have loved that. Like that he was putting out music and working on music till the past that they point. That's not to say they shouldn't retire and enjoy it, right, Tim? Like I'm not saying that that's what I think, but I do think that that's what they would have wanted. And like we've talked about, Tim's like talked about on the podcast, very actually, you've talked about this a lot. Is you struggle with when these musicians, guitar, for example, because you play the guitar or whatever instrument is, goes out to like people betting on it or what betting's not the word, putting in auction, right? And you're like, but people want to keep playing that, right? And so what I like about this is what you were getting at is the fact that Ozzy was still working on music till the day he died, even the physical instrument maybe, or in this case like producing music. I love that. I
Yeah.
think that's what he would have wanted. That's what I would want.
Well, that's what he did. That's what he knew, and that's what made him happy. So,
Thank you. I'm not going crazy, but that's what I was saying. Is like I
yeah,
love that.
absolutely, 100%. Okay, Joy, what music news do you have?
It's not really necessarily music news, but I thought it was pretty cute because me and Tim have talked about the Rock and Roll Hall induction that just happened. So we all know we talked about how the fact that Cyndi Lauper was on there, and I was looking at a bunch of different people who were talking about like Cyndi Lauper as a whole, rock and roll. What's the word I'm looking for, Tim? The one. What is it? The
The Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. That's the word, everybody. Someone's screaming that at me right now. That was the equivalent of Stevie Nicks in my moment. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we just got, everybody who doesn't know this, they just got put in Deuce. Everything just happened in the last week. But what was really cute is I kept seeing a few different women talking about Cyndi Lauper being induced. And there might be some back and forth about whether you think Cyndi Lauper is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, whatever. But I really do like her. And I do think that she is the equivalent of someone who's worked really hard. Also, she basically has an EGOT at this point. I think she's like one thing away from getting an EGOT. So go, Cyndi Lauper, go. But what's cute is Chappell Rowan. If you know anything about her, she is very predominant right now in the pop music world and also in the LGBTQ plus community. And her exact words, she loves that she was induced into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because showing up can be bold, it can be quirky, it can be loud, it can be glamorous, and have any hair color you want. And that is exactly what I think about when I think about Cyndi Lauper.
There we are. Yes, Cyndi Lauper was a trailblazer. She was Madonna before Madonna. She was the big female pop singer who everyone was talking about before Madonna came around down. And when Madonna appeared, it sort of stole her thunder just a little bit. But I mean, Cyndi Lauper had such amazing songs. And, you know, we've spoken in my field of interest how she was so influential at the beginning of the World Wrestling Federation. I mean, even that.
As he's wearing his Macho Man t-shirt that
I'm
nobody
wearing a
else
Macho
can
Man
see.
Randy Savage t-shirt, yes. But even that, I mean, you know, she's seen as a trailblazer in that. And that's not even her core competency, if you will.
It's just so interesting because what they were getting at, I love that they just put all these literal, very distinct things about her as a person. And so seeing her being introduced, also, if you've ever like seen her, so a few years back when Cher was introduced in the Kennedy Center Honors, that was a lot to say, guys. Words are hard, harder words. But anyway, what it's getting at is that like Cyndi Lauper has this very distinct voice that you hear. I think she doesn't always get the credit that she deserves because when you hear her actually sing things like where she was singing Cher, right at the Kennedy Center Artists, it was quite good. Like she's not. She also wrote all the music for. There's a reason why she's one thing off of an EGOT. Like the Kinky Boots, musical mixed with she did all the music for it. Like that is a thing that happened, and so I just thought it was really interesting. Thought that was really cute. I love that little like modern day thing. And the fact that we talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on this podcast before, and I was so excited that Cyndi Lauper was going to be on there. Like I was one of the ones that I really liked because there's a lot of people on there. Outcast is on there, and you might say Outcast is not Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy, right? There's a like back and forth with that, but I really do think that Cyndi Lauper was very well received and should have got it.
Absolutely. I haven't seen the induction ceremony because it was on Disney Plus, and we don't have that in our house. And I don't need to get into the ins and outs of that, but maybe I'll go onto YouTube and find some clips.
I haven't watched it. I just saw like people talking about it. I thought that was super sweet though. I love the way they talked about it. I think she's someone that deserves it. If anyone, right? Outcast. I saw a lot of different people going, "Oh my God, I can't believe Outcast is inducing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame." And so that's a debate for another time. But I will say, of all the people who was there, I think Cyndi Lauper is very well deserving.
There we go.
All right, so this is my episode, even though I'm already struggling to use words, so Tim's already done with me, but that's a debate for another time. I got this little thing from Tim while we were talking, and maybe I was yelling about him being a wonderful guitarist, and everybody should respect him before this episode. But he may have sent me a little thing. I don't think it was in the mail technically because I picked it up from his house because I needed to use a literal microphone stand. But Tim had to go to Europe recently. He may have went to England. And what did you get, Tim? A hospital radio times for Joy?
Yes, I had to visit a hospital a number of times, and as I was walking in and out of that hospital, there was a display there, and it had the hospital radio times for the hospital that I was visiting, which I believe was some Richards Hospital in Chichester, if I remember correctly.
Your guess is as good as mine, Tim.
Okay, but there
It
was
sounds like candy to me. I don't know.
But there was a whole batch of those hospital radio times, and I thought, I know how much Joy loves the idea about hospital radio and how the whole concept of it blew her mind. So I thought, I'm going to grab a copy of the hospital radio times and then bring it back and give it to Joy. And it was a little bit later before I gave it to Joy, but she is proudly holding that copy right now.
So, with that being said, if you haven't figured out what this episode's about, might be about hospital radio, everybody. But anyway, with that being said, it was so cute. Tim sent this to me. I may have read this, like, ad nauseum to the point that it sounds ridiculous. Because I was like, what are these people? The thing that bothered me in the moment is and this is such an American stupid thing to think, to be honest with you guys. When Tim said there was hospital radio, I really, in my mind, had this thought process. If you haven't listened to the previous episodes, I imagine I'm being wheeled away to get my kidney stone blasted. And you have to hear whatever song is playing on the radio at that moment. And there are a lot of songs like Sweet Home Alabama playing when you're wheeling me away. I just say, just turn off the anesthesia. Just take it. I'm done. So that's what I legitimately thought in this moment. I thought when Tim told me there was a hospital radio, I thought it was like a grocery store. I really did, Tim. But Tim was like, no, Joy. It's like when you're in America and you press the button to watch insert whatever TV station. He was like, no, you just play the song. But yeah, my mind thought like I'm being wheeled away to heart surgery and I'm stuck listening to insert the world's worst song ever.
Yeah, no, it's UK hospital radio is more of a community thing. So yes, they have
Yes.
radio shows, but they have shout outs to people. You can call in for a request. They sometimes rebroadcast some other content that they get from other places. But you do find that a lot of DJs that operate in the UK started off as volunteers on a hospital
So,
radio
with this
station.
being said, and this nonsense that I may have overthought, the episode is going to be the 50 most requested hospital radio songs for 2024. There's
Ah,
not one from 2025 yet, officially. And we're just going to discuss it. And we're going to talk about if we want to hear that song as we're being wheeled away to get our hearts worked on.
there we are. Now, I will ask you one question before we start, Joy. So I gave you the hospital radio times. Was there anything in there that surprised you?
It was the amount of like weird ads.
Well, I mean, that's a very glossy brochure that was free. So that process has to be paid for by somebody.
That was the most American thing about it, was the amount of ads. And if you understand. But I will say what was interesting is like I just thought that when I looked through it, maybe I'd get like a list of songs and it's more just like a list of groups. But to be honest with you, 70% of this brochure that Tim gave me is mostly just ads telling me to give money to people in some way. And that's the most American thing you could have given me, Tim.
Well, yeah, as you know, healthcare in the UK is socialized, and a lot of those NHS trusts are underfunded, so they're often looking to bolster their revenue.
So, for perspective, everybody, if you were wondering, the ads I got, people who are not in America were curious to know what's in the ads Tim sent me. Clear Vision, Better Vision, that's what's doing your community a minibus for social outings. Let's see what else is here. It's a lot about just healthcare services, which actually makes sense, Tim, because like who's looking at healthcare services? People who are listening to the radio at the hospital. I mean, it's just like healthcare services. I think that was what was shocking to me is how much of this is like what's actually happening with a QR code mixed with the fact that it's mostly just ads.
Well, there we are. As I said, it was something free in the hospital.
I'm not absolutely judging. He did give me other gifts, guys. Don't judge him that hard. It's just funny. All right. So with that being said, I did do a little bit of research, and when I say research, I mean I gave it a Goog, and we got the top 50 most top 50 top 15 1 5 everybody most requested UK hospital radio songs starting in 2024. Because we've talked about jokes about different things from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, right, Tim? Like, we've talked about that. So I just thought this was interesting to see what people are, in fact, still requesting.
Okay.
And the number one song is not anything that anyone should be guessing, shouldn't be guessing. Tim is also a member of this band, and anybody didn't know this. Like, he's officially a member of this band. Here knows where this is going. The number one requested song in 2024 is ABBA, Dancing Queen.
Yeah, I mean that's a cross-generational song. I mean, a hospital is going to serve patients who, from young people all the way to very old people, and I mean everybody loves ABBA, so I can see that would be a big request.
I mean, Tim's like, what are you, like a 74 divorced member or something? I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, I mean, I played with little Mike Watkins in Sweden once, which more or less makes me a member of ABBA.
Official member? I mean, I just thought it was funny that it's Dancing Queen because, to be honest with you, I feel like it's fun, but like, are people actually still out there actively requesting Dancing Queen? Is that a thing we're doing, Tim?
I think so. And plus, as well, in the UK, you've had an ABBA renaissance because you have that ABBA Voyage show that's running in London. So if people had forgotten about ABBA, certainly the publicity around ABBA Voyage would bring it back into the forefront.
I mean, that's fair. I could just say it. I could live the rest of my life without ever hearing Dancing Queen again,
It's
and I'd be
probably
fine.
one of my least favorite ABBA songs, but it's still an ABBA song.
No, it's my least favorite ABBA song. Like, it's the least, Tim. It's
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Give me the Visitors or something. I don't know. Anything.
And the funniest part about that is Tim is actively the person who taught me about the Visitors. You literally brought that for the people who don't know. It doesn't matter. But for people who don't know, me and Tim used to work together, and he actively brought that album to me and was like, Joy, listen to this. And I'm very actively someone who's talked about ad nauseum that I was, even in my youngest days, as like a 15 years old, Tim, like I had an existential like amount of knowledge that I knew, but I was not familiar with the Visitors. And so Tim brought me that physical album and put it in front of my face and made me listen to it. And it's one of my favorites now, if not my favorite.
Yeah, it's the second from last ABBA album. It was the final album for a number of years until they came out with Voyage. But it's their breakup album. It's so good. I mean, it's kind
Something
of
about it
dark.
is just perfect.
Yeah, it's sort of dark compared to some other ABBA stuff, but I really like it.
But it has that. So one thing about ABBA is we've talked about on this podcast is obviously it's Swedish pop at its best, right? And you've got people hanging out at a club or whatever, dancing on a Saturday night, and everything ABBA makes sense. But there's like a weird difference between the Visitors album versus everything else, and I think that's what's important. That's what stood out to me. It's just funny because Tim will never admit this to himself, but he's the only reason I knew that album existed. Maybe he knows that. I don't know if he knows that, but you literally put that album on my desk. One day I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh my god, it's so good."
Yeah.
So
well,
anyway.
I'm glad I was able to share that with you.
So anyway, moving on. The next song that apparently if you're in the hospital and you want the radio to be playing is Bob Marley, Three Little Birds, which is also not that shocking.
Yeah, I thought it might be, I don't know, No Woman, No Cry or something like that. I think Three Little Birds was used in a UK television commercial.
Probably.
Which would probably speak to why, again, people would be familiar with that song. I mean, there are 10 or so Bob Marley songs that are completely evergreen. People love that. I've tried to get deeper into the Marley catalog, and it really made me realize I'm not really a big reggae fan, but the Marley hits are very, very strong.
The matter is he was able to like reach people who aren't necessarily in the reggae world, right?
Oh, 100%. His music was reggae, but it made it accessible to non-reggae fans.
And that's the difference. Redemption song could be love, so on and forth, right? And so I think that's what does make the difference. But I mean, Three Little Birds, if I were in the hospital, that'd be a song I'd want to listen to.
Yeah, I think so. It's unoffensive. It's a nice song. I mean, why would you not want to hear that if you was listening to hospital radio in Chichester, for example?
He's also just an interesting person as a whole because we've talked about. I mean, obviously you have No Woman, No Cry. You've got like a lot of live things about him, and then he passed away very early in life, and then we talked about ad nauseum how maybe he was killed on this podcast. And we're not going to all talk about that again because me and Tim don't want to get arrested.
There we go.
Is that how we get arrested, Tim? Is that how we get arrested?
I think probably not, but it's a nice thought.
Okay, well, anyway. All right, so the next one is a song that I find really weird because as an American, I find this song completely ad nauseum overdone in America, but apparently it's not just an American thing because there's no hospital radio in America. If anybody's not been listening to this podcast and figured that out yet. Neil Diamond, Sweet Caroline?
Yes, so this...
Yeah.
Neil Diamond, again, had a little bit of a renaissance a number of years ago. This is a song that they would play in pubs because it has a great light bit and it goes, Sweet Caroline, ba 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 ba. And that's not on the original track, but somehow, if you went to an O'Neill's pub, say in Woking Town Centre, on a Saturday night, and if they have a band and they're playing it in the break, or if they don't have a band, they're playing like just music just because you play Sweet Caroline, people are going to have the best time they ever had. And it's one of those songs that just like culturally is in the UK psyche, if you want to use fancy words. It's just a song that a lot of people will know, and it doesn't surprise me that is on that request list.
Really? Because I thought that was an American phenomenon. So for those who are an American, the Boston Red Sox, which is like a baseball sports team, they used it. This was the Sweet Caroline, ba ba ba, good time. You know that sound,
Yeah.
right, Tim? Was used for Fenway Park. Like it was known in like that zeitgeist for whatever, for lack of a better way of saying it. That's what they were using for, but apparently it was not as American as I thought it was.
No,
Good stuff.
like I said, there are several songs that are like that. Maybe it was used in a television commercial.
I
Maybe
mean, it's just the
it was on a
sound to it.
TV
It's so
show or
easily
something.
adapted to those.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to get you off.
and it just makes it, part of UK culture as a result.
Yeah, so sorry, everybody was like probably Joyce screaming over Tim. I wasn't trying to speak over Tim. But the thing is, it makes sense though, because it does have like that renaissance about it, right? Like for whatever's worth, in my mind, I'm thinking New York Yankees, Fenway Park, and then the Boston Red Sox, ba ba ba, good time never. But Tim saying that that was used apparently in
Maybe,
England too.
yeah, maybe it was, but as I said, it's just one of those songs that becomes culturally important.
So anyway, so it's not surprising to me, but I guess in my mind, I thought that was more of an American phenomenon, and that's what's super interesting about doing a podcast with someone who's from literally from England. Tim, did you know you're from England?
I
Have you heard that
think
before?
I had heard that in the past. Yes,
I don't know. If I talk to any of your England friends now, they say your accent's gone.
it's melting around the edges.
But if you talk to anybody who's from the USA, they think Tim's got the most Cockney accent you could
Yeah,
have.
to USA ears, I sound like a fish out of water. To UK ears, my voice is ruined.
Anyway, that's a joke, by the way. Me and Tim have talked about this at nauseum before. It's so funny because I can just like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Tim, I'm immune to it. I've heard you talk so many times now I don't hear it. But I also know that in America, you sound like the most intelligent person they've ever heard.
And that's not always the case, but there you go.
Do you ever struggle with that? Is there like a thing in America where if you speak with an English accent, you're automatically the most intelligent person in the room?
I mean, yes, I've heard that.
He's never going to admit it. All right, let's get to the next song. So the song on the episode is Frank Sinatra's My Way.
Yeah, this is a favorite of probably older people, I would imagine. Though you cannot go wrong with the chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra. But yeah, this is one of his big hits. I can see if Auntie Hilda is going to the hospital and she's having some procedure done, she might request a little bit of Frank Sinatra.
I mean, yeah, like if you're passing away or not passing away, I'm just kidding.
I
I
had
did
high
it
hopes.
my way.
I had high hopes for Auntie Hilda and her procedure. You've already killed her off.
Stop. I can't do this, Tim. Anyway, poor Auntie. I mean, she might have lived. She just did it her way, Tim. It took her a little bit. The heart had to come back to life.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna stop. I can't take this seriously. All right. I mean, I don't know. My way being on number 4 on the radio hits. I don't know about you guys, but one thing that I had to laugh so hard about is I literally, legitimately, when Tim first told me this, and it's such a dumb thing, but for some reason I thought that there was just music playing in the hospital at all times. And I just had an image of me getting wheeled away to do my heart surgery, and the last thing I heard is Jesus take the wheel and or Miley Cyrus, this is the climb, or God, could you imagine AC and DC back and forth?
I
The
know.
last thing you get wheeled away.
Yeah, as we've said many times, they're not piping it in. It's elective. You have
I know.
to.
But the more I think about it, the funnier is there's an SNL moment in this. One day, someone's going to pull this podcast, Tim, and there's going to be an SNL joke that someone brings in because it should be. Like, as an American, it's so dumb, but that's what I really thought. All right, anyway, back to the thing. All right, Tim's not going to be happy with number 5. 5. I'm not happy with it, but we have to say it's Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, my problem with Bohemian Rhapsody generally, and this is something that I've been of the opinion of for some time. This is an amazing song. This is a fabulous song. It's a groundbreaking song. However, it is incredibly overplayed at this point, and there's a subset of people who think that's the only song that Queen ever did. And it's just like whenever they interview Brian May or Roger Taylor now, they just want to talk about Bohemian Rhapsody and its relevance and its influence and this, that, this, that. There are 5,200 other Queen songs that, in my opinion, are better. In fact, today, from the album, the same album that the Bohemian Rhapsody comes from, A Night at the Opera, I listened to the Prophet song. In my opinion, that is a better song than Bohemian Rhapsody. But like Bohemian Rhapsody has just become this cultural thing, and I'm sick of it.
I also just don't think it's that hard to sing. Like I feel like there's a lot of people in the world who think that this is like the hardest song to sing from Queen, and there's like a lot of other music that Tim has said is statistically just harder, better, whatever you want to call it. Like Bohemian Rhapsody, like first of all, there's like 40,000. I will say though, Tim, and in all seriousness, one thing when I think about Bohemian Rhapsody is the music video. I think the music video is one of the things that people don't give much credit to, because where I grew up listening to VH1, and I talk about like my pop-up music video, right, and different things that I liked, I have very distinct memories of the opera where, like, you know what I mean, the black and white faces are popping up and singing, and nobody talks about that. That was probably more of an influence than people realized at that moment. Like that music video was iconic.
Yeah, well, absolutely 100%. The other thing that's interesting about Bohemian Rhapsody is its use in the film Wayne's World. Now, up to the point Wayne's World come out, the United States had pretty much forgotten about Queen as an entity.
Yep.
I have some radio interviews with Brian May and Roger Taylor on US radio. Around the time I forget which album it is, The Miracle, it came out, and on those interviews, because I've got a box set with like radio interviews on, and people were phoning in and saying, "Oh, we can't find your music in the stores. You know what happened? Why? I can get this new album, but I really want to buy a copy of Jazz on News of the World, and I can't find it." And even Brian May says, "Oh yeah, we're working on that. We're trying to get our music out there, etc., etc." And what it was is that they had some popularity in the United States until I Want to Break Free came out. And when I Want to Break Free came out, they were parodying the UK soap opera Coronation Street, and they were all dressed up as female characters parodying this show. And of course, the United States, being very conservative, as it probably still is now, but certainly was back in the 80s,
Even more, yeah.
Yeah. MTV refused to play it because they were seen to be promoting drag queen and a drag act. And they were like, they refused to play it. And to some degree, Queen got blackballed as a result. And then their music just was not played. And it was because of the use of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Until like the early 90s, right? From early Bohemian Rhapsodies.
It was when Wayne's World came out, which was like late 80s, early 90s, when they used Bohemian Rhapsody in there. It almost completely relaunched Queen back to the US audience. So in some respects, you have to give that song that credit. And also, like you say, with the groundbreaking video. But I'd be happy if I never, ever heard it again.
So I'm 100% behind with Tim with it. I'd be happy I've never heard it again. But I do think it's right from someone who grew up in a very multicultural, multi-listening to music. We were big musicians, like family, right, Tim? I've talked about this on the podcast. I give a lot of credit to parents in America. And for whatever reason, that music video, Bohemian Rhapsody's music video, lives rent free in my head because of the way it would play out in that moment. And it was a resurgence. There was like, yes, obviously, I Want to Break Free. I know that music video. I know Hammer to Fall. I can sing it like my heart depends on it. If you ever need me, Tim, like if we ever have to like fight for our lives and they're like, what can you do? What's your skill? I'd be like, put me on. And I've got to do Queen from the beginning to the end. Live Aid. I got this, right? Tell it. That would be me. Like, I could sing it from beginning to end, right? Hammer to Fall all the way to the end. But what I was getting at is that would be me, but that's not normal for the average American, and I know it isn't. And what's interesting is I did grow up in a family who was very interested in, like, pop-up music, VH1, MTV, right? I've said that. And Tim's right. There was a resurgence. People in America until the early 90s, we kind of liked Queen. Like, we knew who they were. They had some good music, right? But that moment, whatever they did in that music video with Bohemian Rhapsody, with them, just like with the faces, there's something very simplistic about it. You know, it's an opera. That's what they were going for, right, Tim? We all know it's an opera. Like, I hope that that's not a shocker to anybody. But They killed it, and it really did make the difference. I don't know if that's a very American thing to say, but it did.
Yeah, 100%. I said it's a pioneering track with the opera section, which is mostly Roger Taylor's high falsetto vocals all the way through it. But
We love it though.
yeah, as I said, you have to give the credit to that song, but I'm just sick of hearing it.
I could also literally hear anything else. So I'm
Yeah.
with Tim. All right. So with that being said, moving along, but there we have to give them their credit. This is an interesting one, and but it's also not shocking considering it's you're in the hospital. It's Happy by Pharrell Williams.
Yeah, I can see that people would want that. It's a jolly song. They might want to be cheered up, and yeah, maybe it's something that's on hospital radio playlists anyway. So people might have heard it the previous day and thought, "Oh, can we hear Happy again? I like that."
Well, I also think that it equates to different age ranges because I think when you think about hospital radio or anybody in the hospital, we have like a misconception about who's in the hospital, but Happy was like something I think that talked to people from different age ranges, Tim, from young to old. So I think that's a factor in it. Now, I know I want to get into the next one because I want Tim to hear this, and he will not be surprised to know that number 7 is Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream.
Islands in the Stream. Kenny, Dolly, and the Bee Gees
Our favorite!
mooshed together to make this beautiful song.
Could it get any better?
Yeah. I'm surprised that that song has relevance in the UK because I see it more as a US thing, to be honest with you.
I think it's gotten some weird resurgence, and this is going to sound very dumb. And somebody out there could be like, "Oh my God, Joy, that's such a nuanced thing." But there was this thing where David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, there are British royalty, whether you want to say they are or they are. I'm not saying they're a member of the royal family. Don't come for me, internet, just because you're from England. But they are notoriously known as someone. So for those who don't know, we got Victoria Beckham, who is for the Spice Girls. I hope Posh Spice makes sense to everybody. David Beckham was a football player. And when I say football player, obviously mean soccer in America. Obviously, I mean UK football. But they had that recent thing recently where they were doing like some like vlogging where people were following them around or whatever, and then there was like a dance scene where she was singing this and they were singing and they were dancing together, and it became like a resurgence. I think it's just one of those songs that like goes through time frames where people pick it up, Tim, regardless of what it is. And so that's an example of a weird situation that I think in the last 10 years has been repicked up. But also, like, I think Dolly has become, even because she was in Glastonbury last year. Like, I feel like she's universally accepted at this point.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves Dolly. Yes, her Glastonbury performance was very well received. And people love Dolly, but I could see 9 to 5 or I Will Always
It's
Love
just
You.
the Islands in the Stream
Islands
that's
in the
surprising
Stream.
you.
I mean, I love this song. I mean, as I said, when you have those three
Interesting.
core elements together creating this amazing piece of art, you literally cannot go wrong. But it surprises me that it would be on any top 10 list in the UK.
I feel like it's just one of those weird things that gets resurgence periodically. But Tim and me have talked ad nauseum about Islands in the Stream. And if you don't know it, go listen to it because it'll be in your head for the next, 6 years, 5 years? I don't know.
It's in my head right now.
All right. Well, I have to say this name properly or we're going to get sued. Eagles.
Yes, it's definitely just Eagles. Eagles, 100%.
Hotel California.
Of course, and I hope the hospital radio stations have their licenses in order for when it comes to playing copyrighted works. But if they're not, Don Henley personally will be shutting down hospital radio stations.
Tim, we have a bigger problem than that. Who wants to hear Hotel California before they have heart surgery? This is the last song I want to hear.
Well, it's a song about
No, sir. Are you gonna admit that I'm not wrong? Like, come on, was this what you want to hear when you get heart surgery?
I mean, it's about a place of ill repute. So, I mean, I don't know.
But it's about people who like die but don't die and things keep happening. There's a lot to unpack in this song.
I know, but I think you find it's not on the do not playlist for hospital radio, so it's fine.
It's borderline line.
Yeah.
Well, people are like, Joy, what are you going on about? I don't know about you, but I don't want to hear about Hotel California when I'm getting heart surgery.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't want to hear about Hotel California when I was
Ever.
not getting heart surgery because, much like Bohemian Rhapsody, it's an amazing song and I'd rather never hear it ever again.
I mean, I agree with that. But Tim, we have to legitimately talk about it's a song that is not a song I want to hear before I go get heart surgery. It's a song about like disappearing into nowhere land and waking up in that nowhere land. It just keeps happening over and over and over. And that's not what I want when I'm going. No one's gonna say it but me. Like, do you really want to think about hotel? I mean, Don Henley's not somebody I like that much anyway. But
Yeah,
and
he's sitting at home right now, deleting videos off YouTube. He's probably got 3 hospital radio stations. He's about to make sure that they can no longer broadcast because he's protecting his precious copyright.
I mean, we got Don Finlay, we got Glenn Harry, and Harry. That's his name.
Oh, good old Glenn Harry. He's my favorite Eagle.
Glenn
Always was.
Frey and Don Henley. And Don Henley. I mean, what? There's like a 3-minute electric guitar solo in that song, Tim.
Yeah,
3
it's
minutes?
amazing. It's an amazing song, but I'm
Isn't
sick
it
to death of
amazing?
it.
Don't I ever want to hear those arpeggios ever again. When they just fade out. But that's not the song I want to hear if I'm having surgery. I'm just saying, guys. I said what I said. All right. I don't know if this is a good one or a bad one. The next song when you're getting heart surgery is Suspicious Minds by Elvis Presley.
Yeah, again, something maybe that appeals to a slightly older generation. The other thing that I think you have to factor in with this list. So I'm sure the majority of younger people, I mean, people in their 20s and 30s and even 40s, who go to hospital for some kind of procedure or otherwise, they're probably going to bring their phone, tablet, or some other kind of device with them. Yeah. And they're probably not going to get involved with hospital radio, unfortunately. Some will, but, on the whole, I think older people are probably not going to bring devices with them for entertainment. So they're going to rely on things like hospital radio or like the TV that's on the ward or in the room. So they're more likely to call in a request because it's something that they're familiar with, calling a request into a radio station. So I think the songs that are being picked here probably reflect the demographic who are actually listening to hospital radio.
What do you mean, Tim? That seems very logical. Also, though, I mean, I do love Suspicious Minds. I would take Suspicious Minds over Hotel California.
Oh,
I said
yeah.
what I said.
It's the king of rock and roll at the end of the day. I mean, it's Suspicious Minds is a great song. Maybe one of my favorite Elvis songs.
All right. Well, we're going to say the next one is, we're not going to talk about it because I want to jump into the 2 ahead. But the next one is Elvis Presley's Love and Tender. And if anyone knows what that song, that's actually a literal nursery rhyme that anyone who learns to play the guitar or the piano or anything else to learn on repeat. So anyway, but number 11 is very important because this guy likes sandwiches. He does like a sandwich. I wonder if Tim's picked up on it yet. It's Cliff Richard, Summer Holiday.
Yeah, I figured you was talking about Mr. Cliff Richard. In fact, I was listening
I actually have no clue what this song is, by the way.
I was listening to Cliff Richard today. I was listening to the song Wired for Sound, which is maybe my favorite Cliff Richard song. But yeah, we're all going on a summer holiday.
Oh, is that what it is? I've heard that before.
We got to fun and left to right. Yeah.
Oh, it's that one. Okay.
Something from very early on in the career of Cliff Richard. His backing band was Cliff Richard and the Drifters. But they didn't realize at the time there was a US musical group called the Drifters, so they had to change their name to the Shadows. But like a lot of the early Cliff Richard hits, it will say Cliff Richard and the Drifters. And of course, famously, Hank Marvin playing the electric guitar on that, who was a British guitar icon and still continues to be.
I don't know. All I know about that guy is he balances sandwiches while he drives down the road in double-decker buses. That's all I know. I don't know anything else about him.
Yeah, I think Cliff Richard now lives in New York City. There was a whole load of scandal nonsense to involving tabloid newspapers and the otherwise, and it sort of drove him out of the UK. I think he lives in New York City now.
I mean, if I saw someone drive down the road and put their sandwich on a coffee cup, I would drive them out of the city. Like, what the heck are you thinking? I'm sorry. Logistically, everything about that music video should be canceled. But anyway, my favorite part about it is like they're driving past people and they're like coming somewheres towards or near or coming from France. And so everybody on bicycles just happens to have berets and French bread, and I was like, man, y'all think Americans are stereotyping. This is from England. Why do they have berets now, Tim, and French baguettes? Like, what? Anyway, so yes, I do love the fact that I do know that song though, Tim, because until you said it, I don't think I would have caught on to it, but after you said it, I've heard it before for sure. Good old Cliff Richard. I also want to know what sandwich was it. Was it like a ham and cheese? Did he have like a? I don't
It
know. What sandwich was it?
it would probably be a cheese sandwich, I would imagine. Maybe
He's
with
got like a.
maybe with Branston's pickle in it.
I hate all of that. All right, what's next? It's like so done with me. So like a terrible. I mean, I do love cheese and pickles as a pickle. Tim doesn't like pickles that much because he's not a big cucumber fan. But do you think it was like a little like tea sandwich? Or do you think he had like a grilled cheese? Did he have like a ham and cheese, turkey and cheese? I don't know.
No, I think it probably just would have been cheddar cheese. I said maybe with Branston's pickle. It wouldn't have been anything fancy like peanut butter. Maybe with some ham. Who can say?
All right, well, we're gonna have to call Cliff Richard. Is he alive? I don't know. Is he dead? I don't know the
Cliff
answer.
Richards is alive and well. He's an older gentleman at this point, but he is alive.
Someone just screamed at me like that, like I should know it, but I actually had no clue, Tim. I don't know. To be fair, as someone who grew up in England who lives in America, how many people out there know who Cliff Richard is in America? Be honest, Tim.
I would imagine a very small proportion of
Yeah,
people would
okay.
know who he is. He's a British icon. He's known in Australia and he's known in some places in Europe too. Certainly in Portugal, he's known well enough to have a wine line that he promotes. But he's another one of these artists. It's like we was talking about Status Quo today, in fact, Hannah and I. He's one of these very iconic British artists that never seem to do much in the US market. I think in the 70s he had a hit with Carrie, I think.
Yes, he did.
But certainly
Yeah.
the amount of hits he had in the UK was never replicated here.
He was a 1 to 2 hit hero in America, basically, if someone was interested in 60s or 70s music. And that's just the truth of the matter, Tim. And so you guys laugh at me, but like I joke about that like at the episode and we're like, the sandwich. But to be fair with you, I know more than the average American about poor Cliff Richard. And that's mostly because of Tim. But anyway, speaking of artists that are very notoriously not as popular in America as they are in the UK, Tim. I think you know where this is going. Number 12 is Tom Jones, Green, Green, Green Grass of Hope.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. This is a song that would be very popular with an older person who was maybe in the hospital and requesting it. I said, Tom is known here. Tom had TV shows in the 60s. He's a name, but certainly he's significantly more iconic in the UK than he ever will be in the United States.
He's almost like an icon in the fact that he's Tom Jones and like he has this like grandiose like personality to him in America. I think that that's almost more known than his singing. But if you actually hear him sing, he's like an amazing singer, right? We all know this if you actually listen to him. But in America, it's almost like he's known for his personality more than his music.
Yeah, I get that. I will give a recommendation to our listeners in the realm of Tom Jones. Pull up on your favorite streaming service and pull up the song Puppet Man by Tom Jones. I think it's actually a cover. I think someone else did it previously, but Tom's version of Puppet Man is one of my favorite songs of all time. And if I was going to listen to Tom, we always pull out Puppet Man. I don't know. It's got a really funky bass line, and Tom is just so good on it.
Well, the thing about it is like I just find it very interesting. He's one of those artists that I find mind-boggling when we talk about him, how much you guys are like, people in England think he's the best. And I'm like, who? My God, it sounds so bad. But he's just the one that I think about it like ad nauseum, Tim, on the podcast. We've discussed like these different nuances, and it's always Tom Jones. That's the one that comes to mind. So we can end this whenever you want. I've not been looking at the thing, but we've got four more songs. So whenever you want me to hit Tim,
Yeah,
let me
we'll see
know.
how we go.
But the next one is the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun, which is very, very, very much obvious if I were in the hospital of songs I'd pick.
Yeah, I was looking on the Spotify the other day about the Beatles and seeing what
Yeah.
the most popular songs were. And I think Here Comes the Sun was on there. And it surprised me that that would be at the top of the list or near the top of the
It
list.
it does it for me because as someone who's an American, first of all, let's start there. But second of all, because and that's not to say Tim's an American, but someone who grew up in America, and Tim's obviously American now, but for someone who like this is the song that's used in every movie. Like every 80s and 90s movie in America, to like when they're looking at the window when they're driving around in Europe and the moment is like really cool, right, Tim? And like we're in Europe now and here comes the sun. It's always a song. It
Yeah.
just is.
So as I look on the Spotify, Here Comes the Sun has the most streams of any other Beatles song, 1.7 billion streams. Now the next one is 875 million, which is Let It Be, Come Together, Blackbird, In My Life, Yesterday, Something,
It
Hey
doesn't
Jude, Twist and
surprise
Shout. I don't know. That is a great song, but it surprises me that that song from the Abbey Road album is the one that has the biggest plays on Spotify, and also the fact, like you say, with the hospital radio playlist, that that's the most one that most requested list.
I'm curious to know movies with. I'm giving a good y'all. Movies with Here Comes the Sun. Because I feel like it's just that song, Tim, in America that's just been used in like so many soundtracks.
Hmm.
The Parent Trap. That's the one that I think of. The Parent Trap. The second Parent Trap, not the original. Then you've got the B movie, Everest. Like there's like a list of movies here that's just been used for. It's just like that song in that moment that gives that like really good. And if you've ever, obviously, Tim, you've heard this song before, right? You know what it sounds like. I
Sure,
think maybe
sure, 100%.
that was sarcasm, everybody. You know that here comes the sun. Doo, 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 doo. It plays something into being able to market very well.
Hmm.
I'd have to explain it. Now I have heard Harrison wrote this song, right? George
Yeah,
Harrison wrote
George
this
Harrison.
song.
Yeah,
And I've heard there's something to be said about he was like at his friend's house. And unfortunately, his friend's house was Eric Clapton. We're not going to talk about that. But anyway, and there was like a moment where they're like legitimately just thinking about things are going to get better. And here comes the sun, right? And it works so well for every modern day movie. And so in America, as far as that goes, it's the song that's used in every modern day movie. So maybe you're not a huge Beatles person, or maybe you don't know all the old Beatles music. This song would be a song you would know. So it's not surprising to me that it would do that well on like Spotify or something of that nature. I
sure.
hope that makes sense. I took a long time to get there, but there was thought.
Yeah, I think so, especially for younger people who would maybe be discovering the Beatles. Their exposure to it would be through a film or a TV show or something.
I can think about it for real. I was a hardcore Parent Trap fan in the early 90s because I'm a twin, right, Tim? And the Parent Trap was a movie about being a twin. I don't know how much you know about it, but that was like my thing.
Hmm.
And I can distinctly remember this song playing in the background and how iconic. And for whatever it is, and maybe for right or for wrong, something in the song does feel like the sun is coming out, right, Tim? Like they put that in the song so it works so well in movies when something big is about to happen.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
100%.
However, they wrote it in there, Tim, because I've talked about ad nauseum. I can't write music. How did they do that?
Well, they would have sat around with guitars and strummed some chords and had some lyrics, and then George Martin would have come along and tightened it all up, and there we are.
Rude. Someone was doing some drugs at some point. It's fine. All
Very,
right.
very possibly, allegedly.
Yeah, and what was Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds about him?
It was a picture that was drawn by Julian Lennon at school.
And I was born yesterday, wasn't I? All right. So anyway, this is the next one. So I have to tell you the funny story. Tim, I have to tell you this, and then I have to tell you a very funny story that happened in my life in the last 10 days. Not 10 days, like 3 days. So the song is Katrina and the Waves Walking on Sunshine.
A classic.
So Charlie, my husband, I love him. I thought he was messing with me, and he was singing Walking on Moonshine the other day.
Okay.
And he was like, no, but what is the actual lyric? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I truly, Tim, thought he was messing with me. He was like, moonshine? Moon rocks. And I was like, walking on sunshine? And he was like, oh. It's like, I knew I was wrong, but I couldn't. He literally was singing Walking on Moonshine, Tim. There was 20 minutes in my house where I thought he was messing with me. And he was like, walking on moonshine. I was like, what? And then he was like, moon rocks. And I was like, what? What is happening? Like, I truly thought he was messing with me, Tim. And I was like, are you seeing Walking on Sunshine? He was like, oh, I knew I was wrong, but I couldn't figure out where I was wrong. Walking on Moonshine, Tim.
I just did a Google to see if there was a song called "Walking on Moonshine."
Is there?
There is, but it's not the same. It's just called that. It's not like a parody of "Walking on Sunshine."
It was just so funny because he legitimately, like, he was like, I'm walking on moonshine. And I'm like, okay, he's messing with me. And then he was like, rock sign? Like, he literally said everything, Tim, but sunshine. And I'm sitting there staring at him. I gave him a good 15 minutes and he's like, what is that song? And I was like, sunshine. The song is Sunshine. And he was like, oh. And
Well,
you know,
living in Southwest Virginia, you have exposure to moonshine. So, I mean, I can see if you
Boy
misheard the
was
lyric.
born in California.
Yeah, but he's lived here for a long time.
Don't give him any credit. Don't give him any credit. No, it was just so funny because he was, and I realized at first I thought he was messing with me, but then I could see the little like things in his head going off, and I was like, Are we talking about Katrina and the Waves walking on sunshine? Is that what we're talking about here? No, I will say, I guess if you're going in for heart surgery or something, walking on sunshine makes sense.
It's an upbeat song. It's in a major key. I played this song many times with Moroccan soul. People used to love it. I used to play the horn line on guitar. It's a great song. It's a very simple 3-chord song, but simple is good, and it's a great song.
All right. Well, I find this one to be a weird choice if you're getting heart surgery. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why I assume everybody in the hospital is just getting heart surgery, Tim. That's what's happening in my life. But it is Elvis Presley, Blue Suede Shoes.
Yeah.
How do I feel about that being on the list?
Yeah, again, I think a song which probably appeals to an older generation of people, but it is a classic Elvis song. I will say the first time I ever went to Memphis and the first time I ever went to Nashville, I contemplated on both of those occasions buying a pair of blue suede shoes because they were available in both those locations. I've never yet purchased a pair of blue suede shoes, but I think I should.
If they're clogs, you need like a wooden clog with a suede on the outside.
Yeah, but yeah, mix it up a little bit. Blue suede clogs. I mean, I would tell you, Joy and our listeners, I am wearing my clogs right now.
I can't. I mean, I was very on brand with that, calling Tim out about it. I feel like that's where you have to go with it. If you're going to do blue suede shoe, it needs to be the clog, but you need to make it like a suede blue situation on the outside of the clog. I don't know if that exists, but if it doesn't exist, there should be. The market's there. Somebody's looking for that.
Yeah, you can buy blue suede clogs. I'm looking at them now.
He gave it a goog, everybody.
Yeah, the kind of clogs I wear, which are proper wooden clogs. I'm
It's
looking at them
dumbest.
here.
All right. Well, Tim's not going to be happy about this song. I'm not particularly happy about this song. I don't know if I know this song, but I know this artist. Robbie Williams, Angels.
Yeah, I cannot. I'll go on record and say I cannot stand Robbie Williams. I didn't get it when he was out the first time. His cheeky chappy persona doesn't do anything for me, and I question his musical
I don't
talent.
like him. I just
I
don't
know
like him.
the guy who writes all his songs for him, Guy Chambers, is an incredibly talented musician, songwriter, producer. But Robbie Williams himself, I have no love for that character. However, however, that song "Angels" was a huge hit. It was
Yeah,
in the
I've heard
charts for a long
it.
time. People seem to really like it, and it
It
doesn't.
was right before COVID, I think, right?
No, came out long before that. I think it was 90s.
Really?
It's a
Oh,
much older song.
well,
Um,
that's when I remember it being a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, he's another artist that did
I just,
nothing in the United States. He tried to break the US market, and it just didn't work. His cheeky chaffy persona just didn't fly in this neck of the woods for whatever reason. He has quite the following in Europe. My understanding is that he's a name in Australia. But I think in Canada too. I think he broke the Canadian market.
I
But
think that Angel song, though, was the one he had in America for like 5 seconds. Had
yeah,
to be late 90s, though, early
Yeah,
2000s.
but as far as the US market is concerned, he never ever broke it. One of my favorite Robbie Williams stories is one of the first times that Hannah came to visit me when I lived in England. We was on the tube
She was
traveling
like,
into
who's
London.
that?
Yeah, and there was a huge like billboard on the tube for Robbie Williams' new album or tour or something. And she said, "Who's that?" And I said, "Exactly."
You're like, I want to go to America, so we don't know who Robbie Williams
Yeah,
is. Right.
it's someone I never have to see anymore because you don't see him. I will say, when I was in England recently and I was thrifting in charity shops looking at CDs, I bought quite the haul home with me. But when you're thrifting through, every 10th CD is a Robbie Williams CD. I don't know what that says about him, but I saw a lot of that. And I made the joke many times to say, oh, look, I'll get that in case I need to prop a door open.
He just, as an American, I know why he didn't make it here, and I know we have our problems, Tim. We're not perfect by any stretch, right, Tim? But he just kind of looks like a Dick.
Well, I don't want to cast too many. I mean, my
Nah, he
opinion of him is
does.
me. I mean, he might be a nice enough chap. I have no idea, but
You're
I,
nicer than I am, Tim, because that's what I get from him.
I don't enjoy the art that he makes, and certainly when I've seen him interviewed and stuff, I don't enjoy that
But
either.
I just don't get the perspective that he's a nice person.
A lot of people seem to like him, but I'm not one of them.
But have you gotten the perspective that he's a nice person? Because I haven't.
I don't know. I've never met him. I have no interest in meeting him.
Okay,
So
well, Robbie Williams, if you're listening and you want to defend yourself
no,
as an American, I
I
know
will
why you
veto.
didn't make it.
I will veto that. I cannot have him on this podcast. He will never be on it. But I'm not tolerating that.
We're gonna have to do like a 30-second like intro with Robbie Williams for Tim who enjoys the podcast. No,
I mean,
I
it
don't
would
want to
be
hear
a big
either.
get for an indie podcast. I will tell you that, but I would not entertain that.
Because the problem is me and you would both hate it, and we'd be kind of mean to him the entire time.
No, I'd be polite, but I mean, it's
I
just
wouldn't.
no.
You're
I
nicer
would.
than I am. All
We,
right, let's move along. Robbie, if you're coming, we don't want you. All right. All right. So we're going to leave it with this one. This is the last song I'm going to give. If I want like an official, like someone we need to put up like a thing on Instagram for people to vote. Should Robbie Williams be able to be on Tim and Joy's podcast? I don't know why, but that's so funny to me. All right. The last song is one that's not surprising. I guess if you're in the hospital, it's Wind Beneath My Wings, Bette Midler.
yeah. Again, this is a very uplifting song, but I think it's probably voted by sort of an older person rather than a younger person.
I mean, if you're talking about the hospital, I think that's going to happen naturally, right?
Well, I mean, to some degree, I don't know what the statistics are on that, but people need help regardless of age.
With that being said, if you ever go to the UK and you fear that they're going to be playing songs like it's a supermarket, I did learn that's not a thing. I was very upset to think that might be a thing. With that being said, Tim, I appreciate my lovely hospital radio times, which is 70% people trying to sell me cars. And or, hold on, let's see here. We got someone selling me a car. More cars. Little Hams in Rushington Housing Society, a nonprofit organization. Don't know what that is. They're selling me eyeglasses.
Oh, go to Specsavers.
Shop mobility. Mobility specialist. If I want like a little like a mobile car to run around people and like that kind of thing. Marty will sell me carpets and flooring. Effort sheds if I want a shed.
I mean, you never know when you might need a shed. It's very important.
Tim sent me this, and this is very important, guys, because obviously I need a shed for somebody in England. Say we're international. Don't know what international they're doing. Pulsar cooling in case I need AC, which is funny to me because no one in the UK is using AC to begin with.
It would probably just be some fans, to be fair. They'd come and put an industrial fan in your business.
How much they put in to put in a freaking an actual fan, we'll never know. We got a chiropractic. We got landscaping, a museum. Very important things happening. Tim sent this to me, and I need to call everybody in England to make sure I have these things. I don't think they're going to come to Virginia, though. I could be wrong.
For a price, they will, Joy, but
Probably a price out of my. I like this. All sound racks, great and small. That's what it says on the front. I don't know what that means, but something to do with hospital radio.
There we are.
Also, if you need Yeomans built on trust Hondas, they got you.
I tell you, if you want a Honda in the UK, go to Yeomans. They will get you sorted out. Mostly used Hondas, but they will look after you.
It's very bluntly on the back of us. All right, what would you like to leave the people with, Tim?
Just be kind to everyone that you meet.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
To remind me of another day to come.